What's going on, guys? It's your boy Ty, and today in this video, I am going to be straight up ranting about the brand new sci-fi epic that is The Creator. Guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. This is not a video that I A, intended on making, B, wanted to make. I'm just going to be real here because I went into this movie super excited, but honestly, the more that it sat with me, the longer that I thought about it, I just started to think, damn, there's actually some kind of stupid things in this movie that I really should discuss in a video. So yeah, today's going to be a long rant. For those of you that don't know, the other day I posted a review about The Creator and I was relatively positive on it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. The only thing is, I recorded that review literally probably 20 minutes after I saw the movie. Didn't really sit with me, didn't think about it too much, kind of just processed the basics, posted the video. So yeah, that review in a way was almost just like my out of theater thoughts. It wasn't like I got to sit on it for even a couple of hours. It was like 20 minutes. Didn't marinate with me, nothing. I want to talk about some of the things that I liked in this movie, sure, but honestly, I just want to talk about some of the flaws this movie has that are really start to become apparent. I would say even once the movie's finished and you let it sit with you, like I said earlier. So with that being said, guys, if you enjoy videos like this, please consider dropping a like. Let's get right down into the details. All right, guys, so this rant is just going to be pretty much unedited, uncut. So if I make any mistakes, I'm sorry in advance. And on top of that, obviously, there's going to be spoilers. I'm going to be going over everything in this movie practically. So with that being said, let's get right into things here. Honestly, if I started just by talking about the plot, I feel like it would get too confusing and stuff. So I'm just going to bounce around here. But let me just start off by saying this. This movie does not have one glaring major issue. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I still stand by the fact that this is a 7 out of 10 film. I think it's perfectly fine. I think I maybe would rewatch it, probably. I mean, I am a sci-fi enjoyer. It's my favorite genre. However, this movie feels like it has the problem that is death by 1,000 cuts. Meaning that there are just so many small problems with this movie that they add up into, I guess what you could say is a big problem. But it still is just a point, like I said, that it's just a lot of small things. Nothing, not one glaring thing, not one glaring issue. With that being said, diving into some of these issues, let's talk about the Nomad ship. For those of you that haven't seen the movie, maybe, if you don't really care about spoilers, the Nomad ship is basically this ship that the US controls that costs them $1 trillion that basically hovers over New Asia and kind of just destroys whatever it wants in New Asia. It just drops these nuclear type bombs, not as big as a nuke, but still these huge bombs that could just destroy whatever it wants, basically. And it's in the air, it's untouchable to anyone in New Asia. What confuses me is, does the US have jurisdiction to be in New Asia just dropping bombs? Could you imagine if the US right now in real life went to China, flew ships over there, and just started dropping bombs on cities or whatever? It literally makes no sense because they don't explain in the movie of like whether America's like allowed to do this or if they're just doing it just because they're trying to beat the AI, they're trying to destroy it for good. But like, why is New Asia not fighting back? We don't see a second of New Asia having any type of army, navy, what's the other thing? Air Force? Nothing. It's like the US just going into New Asia and just obliterating whoever they see just freely. And on top of that, it seems like the only resistance that New Asia even has, and like I said, this is like 2065. It's not like it's 300 years in the future, so I don't know how Asia would just suddenly collapse and have like no army. I don't understand why the only defenses they have is like local police. Just to give a more understandable reference, imagine on the opposite end, if China came into like Montana, because in New Asia, it seems like we're in mostly like farming areas and there's like some smaller kind of like cities. China flew jets into like Montana and also tanks and their whole military, started just bombing the shit out of Montana, okay? Destroying all the landscape there. And the only people fighting back was like the local sheriff with like a revolver, like maybe 50 other police officers in like normal cop cars with maybe like a couple shotguns and stuff. How would they fight back? And where is the military? There's just no military anywhere. There's no resistance. The Americans are going into New Asia, just doing whatever they want. Like I said, they're bringing in tanks. They're bringing in like just ground soldiers, foot soldiers. And of course, like I said, the Nomad. It's this thing in the air. It just destroys whatever it wants. And I just don't understand. Is it nobody stopping this? Is nobody, is there any legal implications to this? On top of that, where are the other countries? This movie does not have a single mention that I can recall of another country. I know that, like I said, New Asia, we don't really get parameters of like where it's located, but it appears to be more like Southeast Asia, like maybe Thailand, something like that. But where's Russia? Where's India? Where's even China? Because this is New Asia, like I said. Where are these people? Where's this military power? Does the U.S. have a contract with New Asia that says, yeah, we're just allowed to just bomb the shit out of you whenever we want and just kill humans and AI whenever we want? I don't understand. Getting into things here too. The bomb that blew up in the U.S. that kicked off this whole conflict was apparently set off by AI. And that's why the U.S. was like, nope, we're shutting down AI. And also, we're going to go to war with AI. We want it to be completely obliterated across the globe. Okay, that's an understandable reason. Later in the film, we find out from that guy from Godzilla. He's like the Asian man. I forgot his name. But he's one of the AIs that knew our main character, Joshua. He quickly mentions, oh yeah, in the US, the reason that bomb blew up was because of a coding error. It actually wasn't because of the AI. It gets mentioned lightly one time, then nothing happens the rest of the movie to even discuss it. Nothing. And it's such a major plot point because that's what kicks off the war. And I think it's really interesting because it has that influence from like Terminator, of like this doomsday type thing, but it does it poorly because like it doesn't discuss it at all. It's mentioned one time, and also we're supposed to believe him that it was a coding error. We don't get any evidence that it was. We don't get any evidence that it wasn't. We're just supposed to believe this guy because Joshua, our main character, kind of trusts him because he worked with him before. What? Like when he was undercover. Am I missing something here? Like what's going on? On top of that, as if this couldn't get any more logically just like unstable and unhinged, it's been 15 years, like I said, since that happened, that incident. In New Asia, humans and AI have been living in harmony, okay? They've been kind of just chilling. Everyone's doing their own thing, and they seem to be doing good. Like, they're doing pretty decent. It seems a little bit like a third world country. Like, they don't have the most amazing advancements, but still, it looks great. If the US sees this, why would they say, wow, they seem really dangerous? There is no indication that they have any type of power or anything. They don't even have an army, because like I said, there wasn't any defenses. So why would you go in there and just start bombing villages? I understand that they're trying to find like the secret weapon that's like Nirmata, I forgot what the name is, that can like overtake them or whatever. And that's what they're trying to find. But like, why are you just going in there and just destroying stuff for no reason? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. On top of that, when we talk about Nirmata, and when we talk about the child, there's this whole twist where Gemma Chan was the creator the whole time. She made the kid. And I feel like it was very predictable and that you could see it from pretty much a mile away. It's the type of twist where you could kind of predict it maybe a third into the movie. And I wish they honestly just introduced a new character that was the creator. Even if it wasn't like some known actor. It doesn't have to be like some Marvel cameo. Just somebody just to be like, oh, whoa, we finally found him. But instead it's like, oh, it's right, the creator. On top of that, speaking of this child, she's like the most advanced AI. She can like control stuff with her hands from a distance, like all electronics things. She's super powerful. During this final battle on the ground, which honestly I really did like because it kind of had influences from what I would say the first Avatar movie, where there's like these tanks just plowing through kind of like this foresty area. Why doesn't this child just use her electronic powers to just like shut down all these tanks and stuff? Plot armor much? I don't know. It just gets stupid in that sense. And I'm just like, man, why don't they let this kid go out there and just start like stopping the stuff that's killing its own people? Because it is no problem at the end of the movie destroying the ship. But apparently the tanks are off limits. And the child just lets everyone get killed. On top of that, like I said, the creator made this child. Gemma Chan's character made it from like her own kid with the DNA or something like that. But I don't understand how we're supposed to believe that this robot can like grow without actually seeing it happen. We see that it's a little kid at some, like a little baby at some point, Then obviously, as we know it now, it's a child. But how do I describe this? How would metal grow? Does that make sense to anybody? Because in the back of the baby's head, it has like this little metal thing. Now it's a kid and the metal's bigger. I don't think the kid was like adjusting its own head. I'm pretty sure that it grew with the kid. I don't understand because they don't explain anything. This is the type of stuff that makes it feel like they left things out here. And I just don't get it. On top of that, this third act was very frustrating for me, guys, because once we get up into the ship, I feel like things are starting to get crazy. Before we even get onto the ship, Joshua is forced to kill the kid. What I don't understand is the general gives him a weapon. It's like a stun gun. He says the child won't let us kill it. Obviously, probably wouldn't want to kill myself either. And he's like, since you're like an influence and you know the kid, you have to be the one to do it. And he agrees. Obviously, as movies go, he didn't actually want to kill the kid. But he goes up to the kid and shoots the gun right in its face. And it's dead. The gun killed it. But then later we find out that he put the kid on standby mode instead of off mode. And the kid was able to come back alive. But he still shot the gun at the kid's head. And you clearly see it. Like, there's a clear shot of it. It's not like one of these things like in horror movies, like an off-screen death. And then the person comes back and it's like, oh, I didn't die. No, this gun went right into the kid's head. And it like sent a shockwave and it killed it. But then apparently since it's on standby, that doesn't mean that it would kill it. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I just don't understand. And these were things that I was thinking during the movie. And I was kind of just like, like, this is a little bit weird. But then I started watching videos after I saw the movie. And I was like, wait, there's people agreeing with me. I'm not an idiot. Because at first I was like, damn, am I the only one like noticing these obvious flaws? But fine. I digress. We'll move on. We get into this wacky third act that I was just not a fan of because it feels like there's two climaxes. The Avatar battle with the tanks in the ground. Then we get up to the Nomad. I don't really like this whole thing where there's like these tentacles coming down, that scene, if you know what I'm talking about, where the kid's trying to get in the escape pod. There's tentacles. I don't understand why the kid wouldn't stop the tentacles from hurting John David Washington's character, Joshua. Instead, it kind of just sits there and is like, no, stop. But it can control whatever it wants. It just destroyed this entire ship. But now it's like, no, I'm not going to decide to control these electronic tentacles that are going to kill my father. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Like, these are just such obvious flaws where I'm just like, what? Like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, it's like nobody watched this movie. Like, did they screen test this movie? I know they did for a fact because people in screen tests were apparently saying this is like an amazing film. I think it's fine if you can overlook these flaws, like I said, but I don't know what they were doing. You know what? Let's take a break. Let's get into some good stuff here. This movie looks phenomenal. Every single scene looks absolutely beautiful. There's not one bad shot of CGI, and it only had an $80 million budget. It really makes you think, why did Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny cost $300 million? But we'll move on from that. There's some really great influences here from Blade Runner in the city, from Avatar, like I said, during like that kind of like ground battle. Terminator, the whole thing about the kid with the protector, the father, and kind of having like the chosen one as the kid with John Connor. Really cool influences, and it makes it clear that it's influenced, but it's not like obvious because it takes a little bit from this sci-fi movie, a little bit from this sci-fi movie. It's not like, hey, we're just copying Blade Runner. Hey, we're just copying Terminator. It really spreads itself out in a nice way. And I've got to say, besides Spider-Verse, even Oppenheimer, I'm saying including Oppenheimer, I think this is pretty much the best movie, the best looking movie of the year. Besides Spider-Verse, like I said. But I'm saying I think it's even better looking than Oppenheimer as well. Any movie this year. It looks stunning. And maybe that's my sci-fi bias. Because I love this utopia look. Also mixed with like the forest stuff. Super awesome. Going back to the bad stuff. I don't like the whole thing with Gemma Chan and how apparently she's like dead. And then they go to like Buddhist. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone. Like monk AI area. Where her body's still there, but she's alive, but the AI, like, can't kill her. So John David Washington has to do it. Like, I don't know why we even had to have that scene in the movie. It doesn't really change much. because it doesn't really change the war, and then Nomad comes in anyways and just blows up this area. I love the way that this movie made the AI like humans, and it showed that, hey, they just want to be like humans. They actually have appreciation for life. They're accepting religion. I mean, like I said, there were some AI dressed up as monks, and it was making me like think, I'm like, wow, this is actually really powerful. I really like when they dive into the fact that these AI are acting like humans. Also, they looked phenomenal in this movie, like the CGI or whatever, but they're just embracing humanity. They're acting like humans. The only difference is that they're metal. But they're kind of showing like emotions and care towards humans as well, because you see them interacting with like normal kids. And it's really an interesting concept, but I just don't know why they didn't either elaborate on it more or just go deeper into it. It was kind of just like, we're kind of just world, what's it called? They're just like bouncing around between location to location to location, globe trotting, and there wasn't much going on, especially towards the middle of this movie. I don't know, guys. I feel like this is one of those movies where it's like when you see a person that looks really great, but their personality is just terrible. That's basically what this movie is. I don't want to say terrible because, like I said, I still didn't enjoy the plot of this movie. I thought it was passable. But this is definitely the movie with the most just straight up logical flaws of the year. I can't really think of that many other ones. And I mean, yeah, sure, there's some movie like Cocaine Bear, which had like stupid things happening, but obviously it's meant to be that way. But this movie takes things very seriously because it's supposed to be a serious movie. And I just feel like they really dropped the ball here. And it's just disappointing because I really could have seen this being a 9 or 10 out of 10 movie. Honestly, I could have seen this being a top 3 favorite movie of me of the year. Top 3 favorite movie for me of the year. Sorry, I'm very deep in this rant and I'm getting exhausted here talking. But unfortunately, it just didn't hit that mark. And things were just really illogical. And usually I can give them a pass, but there was just so many things that it honestly took me out of the movie, and I was just like, this is really stupid. Also, one last thing I'll mention, at the very end of this movie, the Nomad gets blown up, the big ship that's watching over everybody, Big Brother there. It crashes, and for some reason, as these things are crashing into the ground, all these robots and people are running towards it, celebrating, like, yeah, because that's great, it's gone. But it's like these building-sized pieces of metal hurling towards Earth, literally like meteors, and they're running towards it, like within probably a football field's distance of it. And I'm just like watching this thinking, I understand, but what? Like, why would you run towards this? You could celebrate, but they're running right up to it. And I'm just thinking about things like, even if it crashes, it could just explode, because, you know, I don't know how ships work, but there's obviously got to be some type of fuel or something in there, or there could be radiation or this or that, I don't know. But why are you running towards it? Like, it just doesn't make sense. On top of that, at the end, the Nomad like partially won because this thing still blew up like 2 or 3 or 4 major New Asia cities. So, I mean, I don't know. Also, I did kind of like Joshua's sacrifice at the end, but I just don't feel like the emotional just tone was really held and properly in this film. I feel like they really could have expanded on the relationship, the triangle here between the creator, Gemma Chan, Joshua, and the kid. But it just felt kind of stale at the end of the day, and God, I'm just really disappointed. Aesthetically, I love the way this movie looks, like I said, but again, the plot just doesn't really hold up for me. Guys, that's going to just about do it for today. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.